Gives you a nice cut. Because we have to do the pause again after we do our introduction, right?
Yeah.
Boom. We're gonna do this one take, Daren.
We gotta do the pause. What was the pause? What was the middle thing again?
We gotta pause.
What show was that from?
Oh shit! It was like, okay, they had the beginning, the middle, and the end. Like, yeah, I got it. Wait, what was the middle? Like, and that was the most important part.
Yeah, what was the middle thing again?
I'll get woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll be like, that's what it was.
All 6 of you people that are watching this right now, somebody put it in the comments. Hello and welcome to 3 Foot Good. My name is Daren.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Rich.
And in today's episode, we're going to be speaking about the melee phase.
So, we're on to the melee phase in Freeblades. We've just got done wrapping up the shooting phase. You've done your pew-pew, but it's not pew-pew. So, what happens now? Well, you've broken off into your combats from charging, moving, maneuvering. The first player is the one that gets to determine the order of the combats, because you're going to do each order in turn.
The first player is the one who wins initiative in the beginning of the turn.
The way this is going to be important is that if Daren is engaged with my leader and I'm engaged with Daren's leader, but they're in separate combats and Daren is the first player and he picks the combat with my leader first and his guy kills my leader, the rest of my guys don't get to use my leader's leadership for the rest of the turn. So it's not like shooting where everything happens simultaneously. There is a direct order in how this goes. So how does this work? Well, we're gonna show you here. We're gonna make a couple different combats here. Daren, we grab a couple of the Mershale, and so we're gonna say High Quester, or the Questing Knight of Sylvanius, and then we're gonna have this guy in support because we'll go over that. We'll have these two like this, and he didn't make it for whatever reason. All right, so Daren, being the first player, gets to pick which of the 2 combats he wants to do. Now, you'll notice we had talked about how you can't have multiple people engaged in combat. Supporting contact does not count. So even though there's 4 people here, it's only these 3 are in base contact. So this supporting character does not count for that, needing to make sure you don't have more than 2 on one side.
Supporting, there are certain weapons or certain weapon abilities that allow you to support or to attack and support. Usually they're reach weapons like
Correct.
The spear.
They'll have standoff, pikes, the spears, and that length of weapon can go through 1 friendly to attack. The pike has the 2 ability, which means you could put, if this guy had the pike, he could go here and all 3 of these guys could attack. So Daren would pick which combat he wants to do.
Oh, let's go with this one.
Okay. Before anything happens, you have to pick what optional talents you're going to use in the combat. Things like if you're going to shield bash with your shield, means your defense is going to go down because you don't get the shield bonus to defense because you're going to make another attack with it. If you're going to sweep, which is a certain weapon ability as well, that will drop your defense, but you get to make an attack against everybody you're engaged with in your front arc. So you just have to be mindful of those. Blade dancers, if you're swordsmen and you can increase your defense, lower your defense, things along those lines. Again, this will be on your character sheet, but you have to do that before any dice are rolled. So to start, you do with standoff attacks. Does not matter who charged. If you have a standoff attack, you're going first. More or less in this combat then, the spearman would go first because the spearman has the standoff ability. He would roll his melee attack rating, his MAR. He would then go against the defense of the target. Roll whatever die you need to roll. If you equal to or greater than, it's a hit, just like in shooting. You would be able to parry melee attacks. If you have parry, you can dodge melee attacks. If you have dodge, you can only do those talents though if the enemy is in your front arc. You can't parry and dodge behind you unless you have a really cool ability of some sort. So if you roll that equal to or greater than the defense, you then roll your weapon's damage versus the armor value of your target. And then if you equal or beat that, then you do a wound to them. They take 1 life point. After you do standoff attacks, then it goes to chargers. So if you've charged in, you're going to go and your opponent hasn't, you're going before your opponent. So you might be able to kill them before they can go. Because again, this matters in the order you do it in. It's not simultaneous. Unless you've gotten through the standoff and the chargers, and now you're going through decreasing discipline order. So if you have the highest discipline, you will strike before somebody with a lower discipline. If you have the same discipline, then it's simultaneous. So these two have the same discipline, so they would strike simultaneously normally. There are weapon abilities that can affect that.
There are weapon abilities that can affect that, like quick. There's talents that can affect that, like Raven Stance.
Raven Stance, counterattack is another ability that allows you count your discipline level as one higher unless the person has an innately higher discipline level. So what that means is you get to win ties. So you would go first before me.
So there are abilities and talents that can modify the discipline attack order. But generally, basically, you go with discipline order with the highest discipline attacking first.
And then go down.
Then you go down.
So once the combat's done, the side that suffers the least amount of wounds is the winner. Now that kind of seem a little counterintuitive sometimes, but if you have a three-way battle, like you're fighting some big bad nasty in the Beast Hunt, that can really matter, because if Daren does 3 wounds to the critter, and the critter does 1 wound to Daren, but the critter doesn't do any wounds to my lone guy that's in there, my guy has won the combat. Daren and the critter have lost, because my side took the least amount of wounds. When you're starting and you're going just you against your buddy with no third party in there, if you do the most wounds, you win. If you suffer the least amount of, it's going to be, I'm attacking Daren, Daren's attacking me. Who did the most wounds? Okay. If it's a draw, it's a draw. You don't have to worry about it. If you've suffered the same amount of wounds each, so if I do a wound to Daren and Daren does a wound to me, we would take no morale test because there is no loser. Now, if Daren dropped a follower in his 1 wound, and I just did a wound to his hero and didn't drop him, if I had other followers that were engaged, they would have to take a morale test as normal because of a dropped follower. Or if I do 2 wounds to Daren's leader, who has 3 wounds, but he drops my hero doing 2 wounds, and my follower is still engaged, the follower would still have to take a test there because he witnessed his buddy getting dropped. But you wouldn't, if it was just hero on hero and you each do 1 wound to each other, there's no test because there's no trigger for the morale test. You would take your panic test on the target number of 4, and if you fail your panic test, you have to move directly away from the combat. You do that first. The winner may choose to pursue, and you would decide this before you roll the dice as the loser. Because as a panic move, you roll a d4 and add your speed to it. Unless you're fast, and then you roll a d6 and add your speed to it. If Daren breaks me and I panic, and Daren can catch me equaling my movement, my guy is dead. He catches him, I lose the rest of my life points right wherever I am, and then Daren has to move that full distance directly in the same direction I was running. Daren may also just choose to reposition up to 3 inches. Maybe he doesn't want to go chasing after him because it's going to take him away from where the objective is, or gets him out of position. You don't have to. You can say, no, I'm going to sit tight, stay here, and just reposition 3 inches.
Oh no, I'm running you down.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
He will.
Every time.
Mainly because I play Khazariks mainly and we're slow.
And stubborn.
But my Khazariks also have a special rule that negate what I just said, because I get to make 1 last morale check to try and last stand, turn around and not run.
What a pain in the ass.
Right. So other things you have to worry about is, in melee you can split your dice. So if you did not move, if you did not charge, you didn't maneuver, they charged into you, or this is the second round of combat. And we'll say you have a D12 plus 1 MAR rating. You can split your dice into any amount of dice pools that equal that. Any amount of dice pools that equal that. So you could do an attack of D8 and D4. You could do 2 D6s, or you could do 3 D4s. The plus 1 that you would get from your high agility goes per die level. You don't have to pick one. That +1 that you get would be on every die you roll.
Right.
Now, if you had an ability that added +1 die level, well, that changes your die level from a 12 to a 14. That's where it changes it before you start splitting. So you wouldn't get to add that 1 die level onto everything else. That's something that you may want to consider doing if your opponent's defense is down low, or you've got a decent modifier to where you're getting +1 or +2, and you can take that chance.
For instance, if you have your leader who is got maybe 2 followers in base contact with him, he might be able to split his attack to hit both of those followers and have a decent chance of dropping 1 or 2 of those followers.
Because usually followers are easier to kill. Now,
easier to kill, yeah.
If the leader is engaged with another hero, he cannot do that. There's a thing called Hero's Honor. Heroes have to attack other heroes if able, unless you are 1, a demon, because demons don't care about that, or 2, any of the bandit factions, because bandits don't have honor, except for the duelist. He has to follow the Hero's Honor. So that's something that if, in this instance here, this hero could not attack the follower, he would have to attack the apprentice knight, because heroes cannot attack followers if they can attack a hero. Mm-hmm. The supporting contact follower can go ahead and attack the follower. There's no restriction on that. Followers can attack whomever they want. But yes, if the leader was engaged with only 2 followers, maybe he wants to drop it to 2d6s because their defense is only 3 and he already has a +1. Mm-hmm. So he only has to roll not a 1, so a 2 up, and he's going to hit him. You can also take the chance of, well, I might die this turn, but if I can get 2 wounds through, I can kill him too. So maybe I'm going to do the D8 and the D4 and take the chance that, okay, the D8 will probably hit, the D4 might, and it might give me that chance to, I can drop him before he can hit me. Mm-hmm. But you might miss on both of them. Again, there's always that chance of rolling a 1.
Right. Or it could be a campaign game and you could have a really high...
Yes, you could have a D20 Mar and be like, I'm going to roll 2 D10s.
And try and kill you.
And try and kill you. Because
and then miss both. And then Tarcher
parry check and get critted and die.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Sounds like you're speaking from experience.
No.
I may have won an Adepticon championship because my opponent tarched a parry roll and my 2 turned to a hit as opposed to a miss.
Yeah,
and then my son rolled multiple spikes on the wound and dropped the leader. Yeah. Sorry, Aaron. Yeah. So, but I mean, that's the combat phase. Yep. Like I said, there are a ton of talents that and weapon abilities that go into this. That's not what this video is about. This is about showing you the nitty gritty. Just
the basics.
The basics. And it is base contact. So the what is that called? The model.
Yes.
Reavers.
Yes.
I can't remember. Yeah. The Mershale model could not attack the spearman because he's not in base contact with him, even if that was a follower in front of him, because the spearman's a follower. Yeah. He can't. It's only base contact that you can attack into. So you can't, even though you're getting attacked by them, you cannot be like, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and. No, you have to attack what's in base contact and in your front arc, unless you have some talent that allows you to attack 360, which there are certain talents, awareness.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You can use I know that one allows you to parry from behind. I don't know if it allows you to attack from behind off the top of my head. But again, there are a ton of talents and weapon abilities in the rule book, but that's not what we're going over this time. That's the combat phase. Get out there and roll some dice.
Stop watching us.
Yeah, go.
Roll dice.